Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of ALYFE Connect, our very first virtual event. We had a wonderful day yesterday filled with sessions and workshops from speakers from across various industries, and today we have another very exciting program planned for you. This morning's session, we welcome Luke Newton. Luke is a senior personal trainer and director of One Personal Training based in Singapore. Originally from Melbourne, Australia, Luke has been pursuing his passion in the fitness industry for the last 5 years down in Singapore, and today joins us to talk about sustainable progress in the gym and how to make gains even while you're at home and can't access the equipment that you would normally like to use. Luke is a huge advocate of sustainable mental approach to training sensibly and how to get the basics right to set yourself up for a phenomenal foundation of success and training in the future. So without further ado, please help me welcome Luke to the room.
Thanks for that amazing introduction, Jacob. You're the man.
Likewise, sir. How are you doing down there?
Man, I'm just enjoying life right now. I mean, there's so much to take advantage of, and just staying positive every day, keeping fit, and just maintaining that mantra. You know, just keeping fit, staying healthy. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, actually. I must say I'm a little bit jealous of that greenery you've got. The guards letting you use the outdoor space in your condo. Yeah, I mean,
I'm a little bit jealous of your air conditioning right now. I'm sweating buckets out here.
Yeah, well, true. One creature comforts begets another, I suppose. But I think maybe I'm too comfortable. You know, especially for you're putting me to shame. I've got a comfy chair here, and I'm not.
Stand up, man. Keep moving, man. Keep moving. That's what this is all about. After this, I guarantee you all are going to be moving.
I think I'll be inspired to do just that. So, Luke, tell me a little bit how the situation is down there for you. How have you found the last few weeks with regards to both your personal training and your professional training, as it were?
Yeah, well, it goes without saying that everybody's routine has been changed. You know, what they knew yesterday, what they knew last week, can't be implemented in our daily lives now. So obviously Singapore's moved towards a partial lockdown, which means that we can't, all the businesses, non-essential businesses are closed. So my gym, where I usually conduct my training with my clients, is obviously closed. Before this happened, I knew I had a sense of fear. I knew this would actually happen. So I kind of planned for the worst. And I prepared a online platform, a program where people can actually train with minimal equipment from any location, whether it's in the bedroom, the living room, the garden, something that's versatile and something that will allow people to keep training regardless of the environment or situation they're in. So that's where I am now, and I've had to make a lot of different changes to my lifestyle and my workout program. So in a short period of time, I put together programs that are available for beginners to intermediate to even advanced trainers without depending on a gym.
And how has the response been to that so far? Because talking to a few of my friends up here in the PT industry, a lot of clients can get very hung up on the fact that they don't have equipment. They think they need to be lifting as heavy as possible. They think they need all of the fancy TRX ropes in the gym. They're simply convinced that they cannot get a good workout unless it is within a particular environment or lifting a particular piece of kit. So I'm sure your programs are extremely thorough and very, very good, but how have you found the response has been from your clients so far? Are they enjoying the variety? Are they enjoying the fresh challenge, or are they still a little bit reluctant to accept that they'll be working out at home for the foreseeable future?
Well, it goes without saying, a lot of people, whatever area it's in, change is something that's hard for anybody to accept. So there's always that trepidation or that uncertainty. People don't know, what's going to happen because they're stepping into territory that's uncharted, right? So they're not used to that. It goes against their grain. It goes against their routine. So initially, of course, there's questions. But me as a trainer, and my responsibility is to convince them and reassure them that this training program is going to allow them to maintain their progress, maintain the muscle that they've built, maintain the weight loss, if not improve it. And it just takes a bit more creativity, a bit more innovation. But training with the body actually allows you to progress in many other ways that the gym will not allow you to do. So training and actually mastering the body is something, this has given us a time to actually take a step back, to take 10 steps forward. Because people are getting too complacent with and relying on gym equipment, dumbbells, barbells, and doing the same movement over and over again. And as you may or may not know, it's very important to shake that monotony in your training, right? You have to get out of your comfort zone. And this is exactly what it's doing. And all my clients are actually benefiting exponentially from this.
The body, what I've learned is like biomechanically, the body is very good at finding the most efficient or lazy way of doing things. So if you're constantly moving yourself, say it's an incline dumbbell press in one direction, your body biomechanically responds to that. And so before you know it, you're able to lift very heavy in one direction, but you adjust the angle even slightly, and all of a sudden your stabilizers go to complete jelly. Yeah, so I think the importance of body weight and building a firm functional foundation is very, very important, as you said, for overall health, for posture, and for general strength. Am I right?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head there. Because yeah, like you said, the body will always find the smartest, most convenient, easiest way, the laziest way to do something to get from A to B. So our job, in order to see any changes in our body, is to make everything difficult, make a lightweight feel difficult. So we get to actually teach the mind to actually do things a hard way, and that actually will help you progress much better than doing something that's convenient and easy and routine.
And what is when it comes to building a routine which uses very little equipment or even just body weight, for example, what is the key to say if you're talking to an advanced or at least a regular gym goer? What is the key to keeping them interested and indeed challenged? Is it increasing, for example, time under tension? You know, like the amount of time it takes to do a press up, or is it alternating upper lower body exercises in a routine? What is it that you're doing to set appropriate challenges at different levels for your clients?
Well, like you said, the key is variation. There's a million ways you can do to do one exercise, right? Whether it's changing the time under tension, whether it's changing the workout split, like doing an upper body, lower body split, whether it's just doing a full body split and just an upper body split, whatever it is, everything works in phases, and the body adapts to a certain training program after a certain period of time. And what happens is, for example, one training phase may be 4 weeks. Okay, so you don't want to vary exercises too much within that period, because you want to get good at that exercise and master it. If you don't actually do the same exercise, you're not going to improve. You keep too much variation is a problem, right? Sure. But after that phase ends, you will realize that, and that's why clever programming is important, because you realize when your body starts to plateau, right? So with a certain exercise, for example, like a bench press, if you can't push any heavier, you can't do any more reps or any more sets, and there's no more progression, that's an indication that you've reached a plateau in that training program. And what that means is you need to vary it up and move to something new. So the body is constantly evolving, constantly adapting, and you got to find a way to actually maintain that momentum. You know, that variation. Once your body adapts to it, vary it again. It's basically a cycle.
Which I suppose is where the mental aspect, of course, which is almost probably you might say the most crucial aspect of training is the mental approach, and it's having that mental discipline and fortitude and motivation to not get complacent when you plateau and not get used to a certain exercise or a movement being easy. It's being able to push yourself to do something which, you know, it's sometimes it's just an ego check, you know, when you have to lower weights when you have to really drop a weight to get a different exercise done properly, but you know your ego doesn't want to let you do it. You know, you're used to picking up the big heavy plates, and all of a sudden you're forced towards the plastic dumbbells at the end of the rack.
When you get into the gym, or anywhere, you gotta leave that ego at the door. There's got to be no ego. If there's ego, there's gonna be injuries, and there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, it's better to hurt your ego than it is to hurt your body. Okay, that's what I believe in. So I don't even care about how much weight I lift. I mean, it is you need to pay attention to progression, but if technique and posture and the execution is not there, then there's no point. There is no point trying to lift a heavy weight just to impress everybody around you. The only one that you should be in competition with is yourself. So dial back down, get the technique right, take it back to basics, go back to the fundamentals. And then from there, you will get strong. Strength will come without injury, and it's a lot more long-lived. There's a lot more sustainability because you're not going to get injured. Opposed to the person who's lifting super heavy, twice as heavy as you, it was impressive initially, but he's injured and he's out for 6 months, right? Because he tore his pec. So you got to be smart. You got to train smart. You don't train hard. You train smart.
Train smart. Well, it's consistency over intensity. Am I right? It's better to do. It's better to do, say 5 pull-ups for 5 days a week than bust your ass doing 10 pull-ups on Monday and then take 2 days to recover.
Absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yes.
But I guess, but you don't want to be, consistency doesn't mean comfort though. Like consistency means like, at a rate which you are still making progress, but you're not killing yourself physically and literally to do so. So sustainability is a big part of your message and your advice to your clients, and that comes in both the physical and the mental format. What is it mentally you're advising your clients to do? Like when they come to you for an assessment and a review and a consultation, and you talk through their goals with them, what is it? I guess this is a 2-part question, I suppose. Firstly, what is it you find that most people are asking for? Are they approaching you for like general health, or do they want to get like beach ripped? That's
a really good question. And you know what my answer is? It may even go against, you may not even expect this, but people don't know what they want. People don't know what they want, and even if they do, they don't know how to get there. That's why they come to me. So what I want them to understand is, I understand what your current situation is like. That's why we do the initial assessment to see where they are on day one, and I will customize a program based on my experience that will allow you to get to where you think you want to go, or you're unsure where you want to go. So most people who come in, they're not entirely sure of what they want. They see someone who's got ripped abs, and they think, okay, next week maybe I'll look like that. Just step in the gym, but they don't. It's not going to happen. It's not a magic pill, and there's no quick fix. So my job is to actually get them to understand and realize the expectations. So I lay the expectations down. I don't give them false hope. I don't say, next week you're going to look like that. You're going to have shredded abs in 8 weeks. You got to look at the starting point and break down how long it will take you to get there and what it involves for you to get there. And if you're willing to actually sacrifice and put in the work to get yourself there, because you have to bust your ass. The people that get, my clients that get the biggest transformations bust their ass every day, every week. How they get to that point of being that mentally strong, either they have it initially, or I have to impart that onto them and to tell them, look, this is where you need to go. It's a short period of time. If you want to get there, you just listen to everything I have to say and I'll help you get there. So for me, I need to get people mentally prepared. So if you're getting into a program, the most important thing is to be mentally ready, have a goal, and actually be ready to make that commitment. So there's no point just going into it, hoping for the best, or saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it in a month. When you're ready, you are ready. Sometimes it takes a bit more time to realize that. But once you find you are ready for a transformation or ready to improve your health, your fitness, your physique, you will be ready. Something life-changing will happen to make you feel like you're ready. But I keep telling, another thing I keep telling people is being more proactive rather than reactive. There's a lot of people who say they get diabetes, they lose their job, or they go through a breakup with their partner, and then they realize, oh, there's this realization they need to get fit, they need to get healthy. So I want people to understand don't wait for that to happen. Be proactive. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, you always have control over the choice you can make at any given moment, and you should choose to make the proactive one. You shouldn't wait for things to happen to you, and then play because then I think that victim mentality in the cases that you've mentioned, for example, that victim mentality can feed into your training, your progression, and you start almost to resent perhaps why you're doing it in the first place, and it doesn't become an enjoyable process for you. So yeah, tough, interesting though. So the role of a coach and a personal trainer and instructor like yourself really goes far beyond just showing, just giving people a routine of
counting reps and sets.
Yeah, counting reps and sets, exactly. And
I thought that was all. I thought that was all that's involved. I wouldn't have done this otherwise. This is way too much work. This is way too much work. I can't even count.
It seems like
But
yourself. It's been what, 5 years now? You've been pursuing this dream of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
5 years, and so you're director of a gym. You're director of one personal training down there in Singapore.
Yeah. So I'm a director of one personal training, which is a transformation gym, predominantly.
Interesting. And what kind of? I mean, this is a very, very broad question, so please excuse me. But what kind of workouts generally are you prescribing? Is it a cross-functional mix? Is it heavy on maybe more modern based training approaches?
It's a very simple approach. We use GBC, German Body Composition, which basically it basically focuses on the whole body. So we split the workouts into 3 days, 2 or 3 days, depending on the client, how many days they can get into the gym. Each day will be full body. So it focuses on upper, lower, whether it's the anterior, what's in front of your body, or the posterior, whether it's your posterior chain, your chest, your back. We will split the workouts up into that, basically like upper and lower body over 3 days, making sure that we hit every single muscle group throughout the whole week.
Okay, interesting. Now, you look pretty much ready to go. I see you're dancing around almost on that yoga mat of yours.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
So with those varied exercises you just mentioned, the upper body, the lower, and even the core, we would love to get you to demonstrate. I think the viewers at home would be very interested to see what simple exercises that they can use effectively at home to build a sweat and burn some calories. So it looks like you're raring to go. So I would love to hand over to you for a few minutes so you can demonstrate to us exactly what we should be doing to get a good workout in a confined space as we currently find ourselves.
Sounds good, man. I'll start with the warm up. So before we, I'm going to just take it over right now. So this is a resistance band that I've been holding the whole time, and not everybody would have one of these in the house. So I'm not even going to use this. Okay. So we're going to just focus on full body, the whole body, starting with upper body, moving to lower body, and then focusing on the core. So when it comes to full body workouts and body weight exercises, you need to understand that you don't have an additional stimulus. You don't have extra weight to push yourself to failure. So what you need to do is maintain that intensity throughout the whole workout. Make sure your breaks are actually timed. So limiting those, actually using a timer for your rests, and making sure that that intensity, that fire is maintained throughout the whole workout, and really pushing for high reps. Obviously, if you're training in the gym, you will be working around 8, 12, maybe even 15 reps. But when it comes to body weight, 15, 20, 30 reps is what you're looking for, and aiming for timed workouts. So what I'm going to start off with to warm up the whole body is just big circles. And the reason I do this is to make sure you warm up your rotator cuff. There's a lot of small muscles in the shoulder, a lot of joints that can get injured when you're training with your body weight. And then you reverse that, really try to open up the chest, warm up the shoulders and get some blood into there. Once you go back across, and maybe you want to jog on the spot as well to get the heart rate up, warm up the lower body and upper body concurrently. And then after that, you want to do more of like a dynamic stretch. So the reason you do dynamic stretches is because you don't want to injure yourself during the workout. So a dynamic stretch is where you're moving the body, opposed to where you're doing a static hold. Okay, so I'm going to do a dynamic stretch, working on the hamstrings, the core, the lower back, working everything in harmony. Right there. And then we're going to move on to some jogging on the spot, again, to get the heart rate up. Just tapping the knees, nice and simple, working on the coordination. And then we're going to move to the hips, loosen up the hip flexor, the hamstrings, the glutes. Again, preparing yourself for the workout to come, making everything warm, lubricated, and loose. especially if you're training in a cold climate or cold weather. Okay, so that's a basic warm up. We're going to move to upper body. So when it comes to upper body, the main challenge is that not everybody has a strength to actually perform a push-up. A push-up is a fantastic exercise, but it needs to be done right. Otherwise, it could lead to injury. And basically, you wouldn't be hitting the targeted muscle groups enough. So with a push-up, what you're targeting is obviously the pec major, your chest, your shoulders inevitably, and your triceps. But you want to pay attention to making sure your shoulder blades are back. Okay, so when you're pressing, you're not pressing with your shoulders because you're going to put too much emphasis on your shoulders and your chest won't get any activation. So from this angle here, this is a typical push-up. What you're going to focus on is keeping your glutes tight. This is going to protect your lower back from injury. So glutes tight, abs tight, and chest up. And you want to maintain full range of motion because that's going to just stimulate more muscle hypertrophy. So from here, full range of motion. At the bottom, my shoulder blades actually retracted. As you can tell, they're not rolled forward. I've got my shoulder blades back and you're pushing all the way up, keeping your back straight. Just a simple push-up, making sure the shoulder blades are retracted at the bottom. Squeezing your chest at the top and aiming for 15 to 20 reps. The regression of that, say for females or males that just haven't got the upper body strength to perform that full range of motion, because there's no point doing it like this. That is not a push-up. That's going to be shoulder damage city right there. That you just got to focus on the shoulders, right? So you want to maintain full range of motion. So for females, this is another variation. So from here, you go on your knees and you're going to pivot from the knees. So bringing your body to the floor and all the way up. Again, maintaining full range of motion is what you want to do with every single exercise to prevent injury and to actually develop the muscle properly and preventing muscular imbalances. So that's full range of motion. A common mistake is for someone to do this. You're on the knees. Again, that's nothing. That's doing nothing. That's just working shoulders. You want to move from the knee. So you want the whole body to fall down to the floor and you come back up. So you're maintaining full range of motion. Another variation of the push-up, now this is for the shoulders, is to have your butt up in the sky, like so, and bringing your head down to the floor. Now this is targeting the shoulders. This is a great exercise for those who want to build their shoulders up, and it emulates the dumbbell shoulder press. So if you don't have dumbbells, you got your body weight. That's all you need. So you position yourself with your butt up. More advanced is having one leg up, performing the shoulder press, alternating sides. And again, the regression for those who can't handle their body weight, you basically drop to your knees. So from here, that's what you're doing. So you're using less of your body weight to perform the exercise. So those are the main exercises for the upper body. And we want to move to the lower body. And one of the biggest exercises you can do for your lower body is the squat. The simple body weight squat. Very common exercise, but usually performed wrongly. And the biggest mistake that people make is that there's too much upper body movement. So when they're squatting, they're putting a lot of load on their lower back, which is incorrect. What you want to try to maintain is a neutral spine, your chest up. You can either have your hands on your shoulders or hands in front of you. Squatting, ideally below parallel. So you want your hamstrings to touch your calf. Ideally, that's full range of motion, right? Keeping your chest up and then going all the way to the top. So this is a proper bodyweight squat, targeting the glutes, the quads, and the core. Now, for those who've got mobility issues and cannot perform a squat to that range, I would recommend you stick to the split squat, which is a unilateral exercise, which emulates a squat, but overcomes any mobility issues with your hips and ankle. I personally love the split squat. And then obviously switching sides. And as you can see from the side profile, keeping my chest up, I'm actually driving my knee forward to the point where my hamstring is touching my calf. I'm not leaning forward, back is straight, and I'm going to the top. And I'm really hitting the quads, stretching out the hip flexor, which is very tight for most people, especially if you're working a desk job. If you're sitting at home all the time now, working from home, you're going to be restricted to this position, which is going to shorten your hip flexor, which will lead to lower back issues. So doing the split squat is an amazing exercise. Really does stretch out everything and focuses on the lower body. If you want to turn things up, so if you want a bit more intensity, you would do a switch lunge on the spot. So from here, hopping, landing into the lunge. And that's going to really increase the intensity of the exercise. But be careful of your knees. So if you've got knee injuries, I wouldn't recommend any bouncing because it's just too much impact on the knees. Okay, so moving on to the core. One fundamental exercise for the core is the simple, good old-fashioned plank where you're on your elbows, tightening that core, shaking until you can't handle anymore. Most people do the plank wrong. So they'll get in position and their lower body, their lower back will actually sink down. Their bum will sink down. And what's the problem with this? You're going to injure your back. All the load is actually stuck on your back. So what you need to do to overcome that is tense your butt, squeeze your glutes, tense your abs, and imagine there's a string attached to your back and someone's pulling it up, so you're keeping your abs tight. You're sucking it up, and they'll protect your lower back or keep your core tight the whole time. So that's an easy way of doing the plank. If you want to make it a bit harder, you can have your hands in front of you like that, and that's gonna increase the intensity on your abs. And just holding it there for as long as you can, timing each plank and making sure you improve each and every time. So that basically breaks down the upper body, lower body, and the core into the 3 fundamental exercises. If there's anything you want to see, I've got a lot of programs, a lot of workout programs on my Instagram page. I've also got a mailing list. I've got a lot of content that I'm putting out in terms of workout programs, work at home programs, minimalist programs. So training programs that really depend on, very little equipment. So if you're interested, just check out that link.
Yes, please do. I'm going to give you a nice little plug at the bottom here. So guys, if you like what you see and would like to learn more, please do give Luke a follow down below on Instagram. So thank you, Luke. Very well demonstrated, and definitely something, I learned something just now. I'm pretty sure my plank posture wasn't quite as good as I thought it was. So I'm going to get work on that this afternoon.
Get some sun at the same time, and do it in the sun. Get some vitamin D.
I can try. My balcony isn't quite there yet, but I can dream. But touching on the training programs you've mentioned. Now, when we spoke just before this call, you mentioned you've been delivering your courses via all virtually via webcam. And how have you found that without being there to physically correct postures and things like that? Do you find you're still able to efficiently and effectively direct people, make those minor changes as they need? Do you find that it's still a good way of doing it?
I'm actually very surprised myself, because I use this as I was kind of piloting this online platform, and it's kind of just blown up in just a week, and the response has been fantastic. And I'm at the end of every week. So just to remind you of what I do, I also do boot camps as well as a one-to-one training, right? And what I'm trying to do, especially with the boot camps, is incorporate some sort of community, bring everyone together, and bring back the fun into working out. Because people are stuck in their homes, they're frustrated, they're stressed out, and they haven't got that routine that they used to have. They haven't got that social interaction they used to have. So I want to bring back the fun, the community aspect into these boot camps. And I find the response is fantastic. They all love it, and there's a big high you get at the end of every session. So I send a survey at the end of every workout and ask them exactly what they want to be included in the program, which gets incorporated for the following week. So just continuous improvement, and everyone's just bouncing ideas off each other. So it's a lot of fun.
Very customizable. That's excellent. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We have a great question here actually from someone on Facebook asking about squats and knee pain. Now, you just touched upon this with your split lunges and saying not to sort of bounce around too much, but as a complete replacement for an exercise like squats, what would you recommend to someone with knee pain who doesn't quite have that level of mobility?
So let me demonstrate. You would want to focus more on the glutes and the posterior chain. It will take a lot of load off the knees, and it'll focus on developing your legs with minimizing the trauma to your knees. So I would like, the simple version would be the glute bridge with 2 legs on the ground, focusing on squeezing the glutes and keeping your abs tight. You don't want to arch your lower back because that's going to cause lower back injury. Keeping your abs tight, keeping your knees out, focusing on the glutes. Okay. And if you really want to take it make it a little bit harder, you move to the single leg glute bridge, which is a fantastic exercise of hitting the glutes. And if you really want to make it even harder, you'd elevate this foot onto a couch or a ledge or a bench and perform the same movement, pushing from the heels, lifting it up, and focusing on the glutes. So that is actually a fantastic exercise. Another one is a wall sit. So if you were to find a wall and actually sit on the wall, support your lower back, support your back, and just hold it there for 1 minute plus, depending on what your fitness level is, you'll be able to hit the quads without too much impact on the knees.
You know, I went to boarding school in the UK, and we used to have to do the wall sit as punishment.
That is cruel.
Yeah, our sixth formers would make us line up against the wall and do a wall sit, and then if we'd been particularly like mischievous that night, they'd make us hold books in our hands outstretched.
You guys were being some jacked students, seriously, doing wall sits, holding books. You guys ripped, or?
It was savage. We were a very, very sports intensive school. I mean, we were more like an academy school of anything. So yeah, we had some specimens, I guess you could say. Even at 14, 15, these guys were Olympic gymnast credit. You know, it was insane.
That's amazing.
Okay, and so Luke, thank you for demonstrating that, because I think that's actually a very good example to all of our viewers as to how, I mean, just that in itself, the glute bridge, there's 3 different variants of that, you know, the double leg, the single leg, and the elevated single leg. That's 3 different variants of one bodyweight exercise that you can do at home very easily, and it's going to give you one hell of a workout too. So,
absolutely.
The message here, guys, is don't think that this lockdown has to put your progression on hold. If anything, you can make progression while you're at home, and just by doing things sensibly and sustainably, as you like to talk about. So excellent. We had another question, Luke, in fact, come in yesterday, which I really wanted to ask, but I didn't get the time. But I'd like to put it to you.
Go ahead.
One of our viewers asked about what kind of training, or what kind of routines, what kind of types of fitness endeavor, if that makes sense. You know, you're looking at, say, CrossFit, Zumba, and whatever else have you. What trends are you seeing right now in the fitness world, and what do you like and dislike about those trends? What trends would you rather see go away, and what trends do you think should be here to stay?
Well, keeping my fundamental principle, especially when it comes to working out, is keeping it simple, sticking to the bread and butter of exercises, which will allow you to progress further and further without any injury. So to me, it's about selecting a training program that your body can actually perform perfectly well in terms of technique and in terms of progression. So if you were to do something like, for example, muscle ups, right? It's a fantastic exercise, but in general, with that type of workout, with calisthenics, be a holistic approach to working out. No, but it can definitely be incorporated into the workout program. But when people get fixated on trends, like, I don't want to throw any names out there, but trends that come and go, right? Trends that come and go and trends that cause injuries. Common sense will tell you that's not a training program that will be sustainable. That's not a training program that will allow you to keep doing for the rest of your life. So it's very subjective. It depends on the person, the individual's fitness level, their background, their mobility, their genetics, what they're strong at, what they're good at. So it does really need to be analyzed very, very carefully. But my suggestion is to keep something simple, especially if you're a beginner. If you're general population, you don't want to do something that's meant for a CrossFit athlete or Olympic athlete. It's not going to be transferable to your body. It's just not going to happen. And what you're going to find is going to happen is you're going to take shortcuts to perform an exercise that your body's not ready for, which will lead to injury. So just get the fundamentals right, strip it back down, get rid of the ego, keep your workouts simple, work on full body. And so your body's working in harmony. It's understanding how it should move. You've developed that mind-muscle connection. So when you actually perform an exercise, you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it because he's doing it on the screen. You're actually feeling your muscles being activated. So once you feel your muscles being activated with the simple exercises, you can move to the advanced ones because you know that you're hitting the right muscle groups. That makes sense.
Sure.
Stripping it down, keeping it simple.
Walking before you can run, basically, and doing a push. Exactly. It's push-ups before muscle-ups. It's making sure you have the fundamentals in place. Exactly. One thing we haven't quite touched upon yet, actually, is because, and you mentioned just now the holistic approach, which must, of course, include nutrition, because like they say, like abs, for example, abs are 75%, 80% done in the kitchen, not the gym. So how big a role does nutrition play in the advice that you give to your clients? And
it's imperative. It's two peas in a pod, the nutrition, the training, the pair together, and one can't be without the other. You can't have night without day. You need both working together to have a comprehensive, effective program, especially if your goal is transformation. If you want to get abs, if you want to lose body fat, if you want to put on muscle, there needs to be a calculated approach. There needs to be accountability to what you're doing day in, day out, for the week, for that month. So at least you're basically not driving blindfolded. So if you're not looking into your calories, if you're not counting your calories, if you're not sure what your macros are, you don't need to know everything, but you need some direction. You need some idea of what's going on. Otherwise, like I said, you're just driving blindfolded and you don't know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. So the key is actually having that goal and actually working towards it.
For sure. I mean, to keep the driving analogy, like you don't know what you're putting in your engine. You're fueling yourself with crap.
Exactly. You're putting cheap unlead into a damn Ferrari, right? Your body is a Ferrari. You got to put some premium in that bad boy.
Exactly.
But I'm also working on. I've got with his boot camp. I'm tying up with Vios, which is a food provider here in Singapore, and we're doing these meal plans, which are basically touching on nutrition, customized for the calorie limit of that individual, whether it's a male or female. And so these menus are very simple, very simplified menus, good quality, wholesome food that will help you stay on track. So that's where I'm trying to move into, to make sure that the training and the nutrition are married together to make things easy for the client.
I think that is a huge, for some people at least I know, that is a huge stumbling block or mental stumbling block for them, because the generally held kind of image of, say, meal prepping, for the week is just containers of chicken and broccoli.
Chicken breast and broccoli, yeah.
Breast and broccoli, exactly. And some people just, even though it is a much more effective way of doing it, like some people just don't have the time. On a Sunday to cook their meals for the week, and you're right, and you start soon to resent the chicken and the broccoli. You start getting very, very sick of chicken breast. But the long held view seems to be like the pervading advice seems to be like, oh, yeah, this is all you can eat: brown rice, chicken, and broccoli. So but you're right, it has to be sustainable too. Otherwise, you start to resent it, and then that feeds into unhealthy habits. Like one day you'll just snap and binge and undo an entire week's worth of good work with pizza and ice cream. Yeah. So it's good. And like you say, that they've got to be married to each other. I think you can't have one without the other. They need to be putting the right fuel in the engine. So that's good. That's really good. What when it comes to your do you voraciously track your macros? Do you know exactly what's going onto your plate every time, or have you sort of
I've got to a point. A lot of people ask me, "What do you eat? What's your diet?" And I tell them that, what my diet is does not apply to you, because we're at different fitness levels and metabolisms are different. I've got myself to this where I am now. So my lean muscle mass allows me to have more calories and get lean or function on a lot more calories than someone else. So like I said, it's very subjective. Did I start with chicken breast and broccoli? Yeah, I did. Did I start with counting my calories every day? Yeah, I did. Was it the best option? Was it the only option? No, it wasn't. But through my trial and error over time, I've eliminated what works, what doesn't work, to the point where I understand what works for my body. So it's more of a learning curve. And over time, I've learned what works and how to get there. So I can actually listen to my body, and it's very intuitive. For those who are beginning, you don't have that communication with your body because you haven't spent enough time with it. So the whole point of my programs is to allow you to find your way to understand the language that your body speaks. So you can look at a plate and you're like, okay, that's 500 calories. That is about 600 calories. That's about 728. And adding these calories up just by visually looking at it. So you get to that point where, so you have to learn, you have to go through the mud. You have to go through the dirt before you actually get to the other side, right? So you've got to put a bit of effort in. I use MyFitnessPal for counting calories. So I get my clients to at least at the start familiarize themselves with, weighing the food, finding out what the quantities are and how many calories there are in certain foods. So in a month, 2 months, 3 months later, they know what they're eating, and they don't need to rely on that anymore, but have an idea because they've actually done that before. So you need to have that foundation.
Sure, no need to keep a food diary every single day unless you're like a competitive bodybuilder, say, in which case your macro really matter. But like you said, it's very important to have a fundamental understanding so that you can make sensible decisions down the line. There's some quote which escapes me now. It's something to do with like measurement means management. And if you can measure and if you can identify exactly what is happening around you, that makes it much easier to manage and make smarter choices and decisions around that. Especially when it comes to something as important as nutrition, because people would be amazed if a lot of people would be amazed if they paid just a little bit more attention to what is on the back of those food packaging. They knew just how many saturated fats or calories or sugars or whatever was in some of the foods that they eat. Even the foods which market themselves as healthy snacks, like the dreaded breakfast bars, loaded with Coke. I say this with almost a hint, because I myself, I'm actually type 1 diabetic, so I have to watch what I eat, especially in terms of carbs and sugar, very, very carefully. Okay. But even for me now, I'm not weighing out my food. I have a basic understanding of what is in certain foods and how roughly to equate, like a fistful of pasta is 20 carbs or something. I know roughly roughly how many carbs are in my foods and roughly how my body will respond to that. So I keep an app, but not as updated as it should be. But I think I'm in the same boat as you now. I've tried and tested a few different things, and so now I just have an understanding. But I had to go through it at the beginning. I had to go to see the dietitian and the nutritionalist and really work out what was going in to the foods I was eating. So it pays off. It does. In the long term, yeah. Oh, amazing. And one of the things, going back to your Instagram profile and your workouts and whatnot, one of the things you like to promote is couples workouts, for example. Now, this might be of interest to those people at home who are quarantining together and are looking for ways to maybe entertain themselves and just kind of a new activity to do. What is a fun? I know you can't really demonstrate now by yourself, but what would you recommend as kind of like a fun routine or a fun example of an exercise for couples to do while they're working out at home?
Well, the main benefit of couples working out is that you've got each other to push each other. There's that friendly competition, which is something that's really noticeable with couples, and they actually get very surprisingly good results, because they're competing with each other. They're eating the same thing. They're both following the same meal program. They're following the same training program. So they're actually, the environment they're in is conducive for maintaining that lifestyle. Because if you're in an environment that's contradicting what your purpose is, it's very easy to be swayed into the wrong direction, because you got negative influences around you. So if you're that type of person who's very dependent on the environment around you and is very influenced from the environment you're within, then couple workouts are actually fantastic to help you stay on track. Like, both of you push each other to actually really get a good, to get towards your fitness goal. So in terms of workouts, things that you can do collaboratively is actually really fun. So a lot of core exercises, for example, where you're holding each other's hand, you're on the ground, and you're holding each other's arms, and you're doing leg raises together. And you can even have the other person standing here, and you basically the other person's pushing your leg down, you're working on your abs, and then you're switching positions and doing things together where you're actually using each other's body actually makes the workout a lot more fun. It's not just your own body. There's a myriad of exercises you can do, and you've just given me a good idea. I potentially will do a couples workout video very soon. It's something you can look forward to. It's very hard to kind of demonstrate, as you said, with myself, but the whole notion of couple workouts is pushing each other, working off the energy, building off that energy that you give to each other, having a bit of competitiveness, like trying to outdo that person. It really does show in their workouts.
Well, hopefully not too competitive, because remember, we've got nowhere to go. We're still locked indoors after all. So
I think it bring couples together. It'll probably improve the divorce rate, rather than just in the house and just fighting over what show they want to watch over Netflix.
Well, we hope so anyway. But I think it must make sort of timed circuits a bit more interesting, to get done, because it's like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Like like it's just, if you're doing it by yourself, you might be tempted to take an extra 5 seconds break because no one's watching, that kind of thing. But if there's two of you doing back and forth, it might be a bit more disciplined. So
it's more than just your. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. We just have a.
I'm just saying that's okay.
No. Sorry, please continue. We'll get to this.
Okay, no, I was just saying it's just more than that internal dialogue. So if you're training by yourself, it's just you in your head. It's that voice inside your head that's telling you, okay, push more. Oh, no, you've done enough. That's enough. Stop there. You're sweating. You're tired. That's your failure. So you'll stop. But if you're that other person working out, there is that aspect of competitiveness, and it does help push you past what you usually would, your usual limits are. So there is that extra benefit of couples or working out with someone else.
Exactly, great. And I think it's healthy body, healthy mind, and of course when there's two of you doing it, better than one, right? So
your head's better than one, exactly.
It's so true. So the comment here we have from Howard is asking what kind of exercises he could do at home that could generally improve his posture. I know the wall sit is a very good one for just keeping your spine straighter than it should be. What else could Howard do at home that would help him, especially when we're at home sitting working at our makeshift desks all day now? What could Howard do at home that would help him improve his posture?
Thanks for the question, Howard. I'm going to show you a very great exercise to work on the whole posterior from your back, lower back, glutes, hamstrings. The most common problem of that is that most people have internal rotation of their shoulders, and there's too much, just too internally rotated from working at a desk, sitting down too much, which leads to postural problems. A lot of people focus also too much on working out the front of their body, stuff that they can see. Most people don't actually pay attention or enough attention to their back and the posterior chain, which cannot be overworked. Let me say that again. You cannot work your posterior chain too much to the point where your posture's, way too good. So I actually pay a lot of attention to my posterior chain, whether it's deadlifts, squats, you name it. But one great exercise you can do in the comfort of your home and just with a mat is this Cobra Lift here. So you want to point your thumbs towards the roof, and you want to bring your upper body and lower body up simultaneously, holding it there, squeezing your glutes, squeezing your back, and really focusing on squeezing your thumbs, pushing your thumbs to the back, to the wall, to the ceiling. And I feel my whole back light up. And then you just come down, relax, do it again. Squeeze as hard as you can. Glutes, back, everything's fired up. And if you really want to turn it up, right, you throw in a bit of a pull down, like a Superman. So imagine I'm Superman, lifting my hands up, squeezing the back. And you can even hold a towel in your hands to give you something to pull against. And that's going to really, really work on your back, improve your posture. If you do that for, throughout the day, maybe just every day, 4 sets of that for 1 to 2 minutes each set, you'll definitely see big improvements in your back and your posture. Avoiding doing too much push-ups. Push-ups is great, but you want to counter anterior exercises with posterior. So making sure you're working on the back as well. So that's definitely one of them. Another is just like the split squats that I showed. That's going to help stretch out your hip flexor, work on the glutes, and work on your mobility, which will lead to great posture. So you want to really strengthen the glutes, the lower body, the core, the lower back, and your scapula. You want to have the whole body working in harmony. When there's that asymmetry or imbalance of muscles, that's going to lead to bad posture. Does that help, Howard?
Yeah. That helps. I was very happy. He says, thank you very much. And I think that's great for all of us. And certainly
you're the man.
Not a stretch, which I'd considered usually when it comes to, my lower back gets a bit sore. I do kind of like when you sit down and cross one leg over the other and, rotate a little bit. I tend to break that out, but I've not broken out the Superman Cobra stretch for a while. So maybe I'll get back into that one.
Put your cape on, man. Put your cape on and do it. It's awesome.
I'll see if I can
might get X-ray vision.
We'll start with jumping over tall buildings, I think. Okay, so guys at home, we've got about 5 minutes left or so. If you have any more questions for Luke, please do throw them in. I have one question actually, Luke, and we've touched on it already. Going way back to the beginning of the conversation when we talked about how you do your first consultation with your clients and how they don't know quite what they want, and they're almost looking for you to tell them. So what kind of questions do you start with, if you like? How is it you start guiding them towards what you think they might want? There's a lot of like a kind of uncertainty at the beginning of this process, it seems. So where do you start from? Like what is it you want to assess first?
So once they walk into the gym, they see me and they introduce themselves, the first thing I ask them is, what made you come here? What made you come to see me? Why have you come here? And that is an open-ended question that allows them to think about things properly. Because a lot of the time people are too persuaded about what they see on posters, what they see on our transformations on our website, thinking that they're disillusioned and they think that walking to the gym is a magic pill that will help them get shredded abs by just walking through the doors and having a chat with me and maybe coming once or twice a week for 2 weeks, and they're going to have the best body of their life. So I ask that question for them to actually sit back and think, are they ready for this? Are they ready to put in make these changes, these subtle changes to their lifestyle and eventually make this part of their life? So when I tell clients when they come into me, I tell them, look, I don't want you here if you're only going to do this for a short period of time. We can get there in that short period of time, but I want you to understand that you're here to change your life for the better. And for me, working out and getting in the best shape of your life is non-negotiable. It's something that we owe to ourselves. Why would you want to not be the best person you could be? Right? So most people don't know what they want. They come in thinking they're confused, and I want to help fix that confusion. So I'll ask them a series of questions that will allow them to look deep in themselves and actually find out what their goal is. And if they really don't know what it is, I will guide them in the right direction and tell them exactly what they need to do to get, say if they want abs in 12 weeks, 18 weeks, I'll break down and find out whether that's a realistic expectation. If it is, then I'll tell them how to do it, and they'll make those lifestyle changes that will help get them from A to B. If they're not in a position to get abs in 12 weeks, then I'll tell them how long they need to do the program for and what exactly they need to do. So being very realistic and setting realistic goals is a key to getting a trainer.
I think that's very interesting. I think what's beautiful about your approach and your mentality in that approach is that, say, even if someone comes in and says, right, I want abs, I'm going on holiday in a few weeks, I want abs. You'll still get them there, but you'll do so in a way that by the time it comes for them to go on holiday, it's become about so much more than the abs. You know, like they have changed their lifestyles entirely, you know, and their goals, their objectives, their approach themselves has changed. You know, you're not just prescribing them a bunch of crunches and saying, right, you know, do this and you'll get abs. You are changing their lives holistically, right? And asking them to make deeper personal changes within themselves, which ultimately, as you say, benefits us fundamentally. We are designed as humans to run and jump and hunt and all of these different things. And so, and like you said, we owe it to ourselves to not be trapped in our own bodies. You know, we are capable of so much, and we deserve to be capable of that. And it's going to take hard work, but, you know, we owe it to ourselves and we feel much better for it.
That's very well put, man. That basically summarizes exactly what I was saying. And that whole notion is very simple. It's very easy to understand, but a lot of people just fail to make the small changes in life to actually improve their overall quality of life. It's very easy to do. There's no magic pill. It's not rocket science. It's just being honest with yourself and embedding a routine in your life that is good. Because we all have our vices, right? So it's a matter of
true
including good aspects in our lives, because we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. No one is perfect, and that imperfection is a great thing, because it pushes us to do better and actually improve ourselves each and every day. So
perfect is,
but you never be perfect.
You can never be perfect, and even if you could, perfect is boring, because then where is that to go? You know,
where's the challenge, man?
Where's the challenge? Exactly. So anyway, on that note, I'm afraid we've just gone over the hour mark, so I'm afraid we'll have to wrap up the session there. But thank you very much for joining us and for demonstrating it. I had a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot. I'm going to take the Cobra, reverse plank home with me, and start working on that. I hope our viewers at home have learned something too. This video will be recorded and posted on the Facebook page, so don't worry if you've forgotten something that we've talked about, or you want to come back to something that we've talked about. This will be going up on Facebook and YouTube for future reference. Now, we're going to send out a survey in the comments below the video on Facebook. If you could fill that in and give us some feedback, that'd be great. And we'll also include some information there on Luke's online personal training sessions, which I'm looking forward to keeping tabs on as well. But for now, Luke, mate, thank you again very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Best of luck with your online courses and your videos and what have you. And look, let's stay in touch. Maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Sounds like a good plan, man. Thanks for the invite. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure is all ours. Thank you very much. Take care, Luke.
Enjoy your lockdown, guys.
Stay safe. All right, guys. Thank you very much. That was Luke Newton, personal trainer at the One Personal Training Center, or One Personal Training in Singapore. We'll be sending out a survey in the comments below, like I said, so please do take the time to fill that out. Next up, we will be having another fitness and wellness-based session with Daniel Tan, who is a qualified chiropractor. He'll be talking to us about spinal health and the importance of good posture and mobility, which is especially important when working from home during a lockdown period such as this. That's coming up at 3 p.m. Do tune in, join us, tell your friends, share the link, invite them to the group. We would love to have as many people be a part of this as possible. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being a part of this. As usual, this is day 2 of ALYFE Connects, our virtual only event happening all week with a full schedule of classes, sessions, workshops, even live music. So stay tuned throughout the day, because this is the first of 4 sessions we're having. I'll be your host for all of them, but for now, thank you.